The NBA offseason has officially begun, and boy, did it start off with a bang. First, we had the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, which was like the longest trade, I swear to God, in the history of trades. And then seemingly from absolutely nowhere, the Charlotte Hornets decided to trade their superstar, LaMelo Ball, to a team that actually needs him. All of that plus the most expensive contract ever paid out to an undrafted player. Once again, this all happened in like the first week of free agency. I originally had a video planned for every single one of them, but then like every single time I was working on one, another thing would come out. So I decided to consolidate it all in this one video. Off season, please give me a break. Or like at least don't release news until after this video is released. Okay, thank you. But yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks finally signed off on probably the most drawn out divorce of all time with Giannis Antetokounmpo. First things first, I want to shout out to all my Bucks fans out there, because usually in this situation when a superstar leaves a small market team, it's because they're not trying. But in this situation, that is absolutely not the case. Whether it be trading your championship core for Damian Lillard, which ended in complete catastrophe, or waiving and extending him for Miles Turner as like a last Hail Mary attempt to keep Giannis. If there's one thing you can say about the Bucks, is that they absolutely gave it their best shot. And now he's a Miami Heat. But you did get one with that legendary Bucks in 16. So honestly, it was pretty worth it in my books. But yeah, like I mentioned, the Bucks did trade Giannis and Bobby Portis to the Miami Heat for, well, the Miami Heat. And I'm not even joking. Pretty much anyone who was worth anything that wasn't named Bam Adebayo was included in the package. The Heat gave up Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Khalil Ware, and Kasparis Jokic, okay? And a whole bunch of picks. Pretty much their entire core, and no offense to Norman Powell or Andrew Wiggins, but it looks like you guys are probably going to get traded anyways. But yeah, now it's just Giannis and Bam Adebayo and friends, if you could even say there are any friends. Like, I'm not even joking. There's nobody on the roster. And look, I know what you're thinking, because who cares? This duo is the next Shaq and Kobe. I mean, Giannis literally got that nickname Superman granted to him by Shaquille O'Neal himself. And Bam Adebayo legitimately has the second most points scored in any game in league history, overtaking the one and only Kobe Bryant. So they should be good, right? Right? Okay, no, but seriously. Talent-wise, this is probably the greatest big man duo we've seen since Tim Duncan and David Robinson. Giannis has already proven that he's capable of leading a championship team to the NBA Finals and ultimately getting the trophy. Bam has also showcased his ability to be the second best player on a serious team when they made it to the finals twice in the last 5 years, I believe, which funnily enough is the only team to have done that. So yeah. And they're both amazing defenders who aren't afraid to shoot the ball, even though they probably should be. And that's kind of where my concern with this duo begins, because can you really win in this league if your top two players can't distribute the ball, can't handle the ball, can't shoot threes, and are unreliable with their free throws? It's a little tough. But if there's one thing the Heat and Spo are ridiculously good at, it's getting the absolute most out of players that shouldn't be producing as much as they do. So if your plan is to believe in Spo and the boys, then honestly, you probably have a good puncher's chance at all of this working out. Now, there's another huge trade which happened this last week, way faster than the Giannis one, and that was the Charlotte Hornets dealing their superstar in LaMelo Ball to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Naz Reid and an absolute haul of picks. But the funny thing is, I actually think that both sides of this trade came out winners, which is pretty rare, but it was still something that I think nobody saw coming, especially with how well the Hornets played in the second half of last year before kind of fizzing out in the play-ins. I thought the Hornets would be a great young team that no one in the East would want to face for years, but clearly the Charlotte Hornets had different ideas, and I don't really blame them for that, because LaMelo Ball has a crazy bad injury history. I mean, in the 6 years he's been in the league, he averages about 50 games. But that's pretty much propped up by 2 seasons where he miraculously played over 70 games, including the last season. There's also been a lot of concerns about his attitude and whether or not he can truly help a team win in a serious context. But if you look at the numbers, it's a no-brainer. He shoots, handles, and passes the ball at an all-star level. And if there's one type of player that the Minnesota Timberwolves has gravely, desperately needed these last couple of years, it's an elite ball handler. And they got possibly the only one that's going to be available this offseason. So kudos to them. And honestly, I think LaMelo Ball is going to fit in pretty seamlessly. But the only concern I have is the same one that everybody else has. Whether or not he's even going to survive until it matters, the postseason. Because after a couple of years, if this doesn't work out, they're probably gonna have to blow up this Timberwolves team. Also, a quick note on Naz Reid. I think this is going to be a huge loss for the Timberwolves. They've had the Nuggets number pretty much these last couple of playoffs, and a huge reason for that was because of Naz Reid and Julius Randle, who were both like terrible matchups for the Nuggets. But now that they're both gone, honestly, if I was a Nuggets fan, I would be celebrating pretty hard right now. But I'm not. I'm a Lakers fan, and I'm not celebrating. And that's because Austin Reeves, Hillbilly Kobe, AR-15 just signed the biggest deal an undrafted player has ever signed in the history of the NBA. Well, he effectively signed, but he's going to do it later. But he's going to sign it, just trust me. This deal is worth $185 million over the course of 4 years. And look, don't get me wrong, I am so happy for Austin Reeves. He has sacrificed so much for the Lakers, whether it be going undrafted on purpose so that he could sign it with them later, or taking a $56 million hometown deal instead of like the 80 to 100 that other teams thought he was worth. He has earned absolutely every single penny. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's this photo going around with Austin Reeves like laying down in a grass field looking up into the sky on a golf course after signing the deal. But once you see that kind of thing, like you can't help but just want to root for the guy. However, this does put the Lakers in quite a bind. First, this is officially going to be the Lakers' backcourt for the rest of the 2020s. And funnily enough, they kind of have the opposite problem of the new Miami Heat duo. They're two fantastic ball handlers that can shoot, handle, and pass, but both defensive liabilities that have been exploited in the past and will be exploited in the future. Now, the difference is I have faith in the Heat front office, and I think they're going to be capable of putting together some kind of team around the duo so that they're actually competitive. But Rob Pelinka, on the other hand, yeah, not so much. However, that is not actually the real reason that I'm not too happy about the contract. And that's because selfishly, as a LeBron James fan, I just can't imagine that he comes back to this team unless for some reason he's willing to take an insane discount. And I guess I can kind of see that if they end up signing someone like Walker Kessler, because then they'll have an amazing center and he'll want to come back. But LeBron has always made it clear in his past that he's not one to take discounts and he wants to be paid what he's worth. And in my opinion, last year he played like an absolute all-star. So the Lakers are not going to have anywhere near that amount of money left over. But we'll see. Who knows what's going to happen? Free agency is coming up. Will LeBron join Steph Curry on the Warriors? Because there's huge rumors that that's the most likely situation now. Also, is Nikola Jokic planning and or prepping to leave the Denver Nuggets? That's become a thing now. I don't think anyone saw that one coming. And will Jaylen Brown load up his Twitch stream just to announce the next team he's going to? Because in my opinion, this man is definitely not going to be a Celtic next season, okay? But yeah, free agency is going to be absolutely crazy this year. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see me cover it. And let me know what you guys think about all these moves and whether or not that Bronny to LeBron James alley-oop that we've all been waiting for is truly in jeopardy. God, I hope not.